Hi everyone, just wanted to touch base for week 3, kind of give you an idea of what the expectations are for this week. We do have practice, dynamic study module, a discussion board, and a midterm. So it's kind of a busy week. I've kind of pulled up here the week 3 introduction just to kind of give you insight. We do have week 3 practice. And I'm going to click into the next slide just to kind of show you the resources that are available for this week. So the new chapter we're covering this week is chapter 4. We don't have any videos from it, but there is a PowerPoint here and there's examples related to chapter 4 that are associated here. If we find other resources, we'll add them in. And then there is a discussion board that where you're going to complete for an article related to your project. So what you're going to be looking for is something about your company and how it's performing financially. Once you find that, you're going to summarize the article and you're going to make sure you include a link so that your peers can review the article, not just your summary. The summary needs to be at least 100 words and it should include your opinion as well as ties to this week's readings. So that's what we have for week 3. There's a discussion board. And then if we go into the next part, you have your dynamic study module in the My Lab that you're going to complete. You also have week 3 practice that you will complete. You have a midterm. Again, it's 50 questions. It is a 3-hour time limit, and you are allowed to use your book and your notes. The last thing I have here is there's a week 3 student questionnaire that I ask you to complete. It's just a survey to kind of give me feedback as to, how you think the course is going, things you think would be helpful to include, those kind of things. So you're going to take the survey. It's going to be reviewed by me. Hopefully I gave you some feedback and some insight into what you're thinking. All right, then we'll go into week 4 the following week. So let's take a look at the My Finance Lab to kind of show you how it's set up for this week. Okay, so looking at the week 3 practice, again, it's related to chapter 4, our new chapter. It's going to be looking at 3 different problems. The first one is having you classify inflows and outflows of cash. So all you're having to do is look at the item it lists. It shows you the change, and you're going to classify using the drop down if it's an inflow, an outflow, or neither. And once you answer, it's going to give you the next one. So that's what you're going to be looking at for that question. When we go into question 2, this is where we're going to be doing the operating cash flows and free cash flows. So in chapter 4, it shows you an example walking through there. It gives you some information here that has the data from the balance sheets that you're going to need to have. Remember, a lot of times we're looking at the change from one year to the next. So it's from the change from 18 to 19. So if it increases, then that's going to be a plus from one year to another. If it decreases, that's a minus from one year to another. So you're first going to start with a net operating profit after taxes, or NOPAT. Then you're going to do the operating cash flow and then the free cash flow. And again, there's a great example in the book that kind of walks you through what to do. Our last question is doing a pro forma income statement, and it's giving you 3 different scenarios. So in Chapter 3, we did a pro forma where we calculated the percentages based off of an actual. This time, we're going to be doing the same thing. So it gives you the income statement that's here. This is for Allen Products for 2019. So it tells you here in A, use the percent of sales method, the income statement. Using the percent of sales method, we're going to take this income statement and we're going to develop a pessimistic, most likely, and optimistic pro forma. So to do that, we have to take the existing one from 2019 and we're going to get the percentages of each of these lines. So remember, sales is set at 100%, everything else is expressed as a percentage of that. Once we have that, they want us to do pro formas where we're going to take the amounts they give us here. So for pessimistic, sales is 910,000. Then you can take those percentages that you calculated from the common size or the percent of sales method and apply that to sales, because remember, everything is expressed as a percentage of sales. So if you were to do the first one and you were to take cost of goods sold divided by sales, because everything, again, percentage of sales. So we're taking 413 173 divided by 936,900. And I'm going to get 44.1% as my cost of goods sold. So over here, I would put 44.1%. And then that's what that's going to tell me then is our sales are going to be 910,000. And then I'm going to take 44.1% times 910,000. And I'm going to get 401,310. That's what I'm going to enter as my cost of goods sold. For the next line, gross profits. All right, we get gross profits by taking sales minus cost of goods sold gives us gross profits. So 910,000 minus 401,310 gives us 508,690. So that's what we put there for our next one. Then we go to our next one. So we have operating expenses. We didn't need to know what percent that was. So if we look here, operating expenses, we have to get the percent that it was at the original one. So we have 225,793 divided by sales, 936,900, and we get 24.1%. So 24.1% of sales, 910,000 times 24.1%. gives us 219,310 for operating expenses. Operating profits is gross profits minus operating expenses. So we take that 508,690 minus 219,310, and we get 289,380. The last one we have is interest expense. Interest expense here was 32,792. If we divide that by sales of 936,900, we get 0.035, so 3.5%. If we take sales times 3.5%, 910,000 times 3.5%, we get 31,850. Our next line down is net profit before taxes. To get that, we take operating profits less interest expense. And we get 257,530. All right, the next one, taxes, it's 30%. It's 30% of that net profit before taxes. So we take 257 times 530 times 30%. And we get 77,259 as our taxes. Then we take the taxes minus, or the net profit before taxes minus the taxes. So 257,530 minus 77,259, and we get 180,271. Then we're going to be able to hit check answer and see how we made out. All right, it's showing that I'm good, so it says well done. I'm going to click OK, and then it brings up the most likely. So you're going to do this 3 different times. So they give you the sales numbers up here. We have pessimistic 910, most likely 1,126,000, and optimistic 1,275,000. So the same thing we did up here, you're going to do down here, except the sales number is now going to be $1,126,000. But we're going to do the same process. We have the same percentages, so we don't have to calculate them again. We can just bring those down. Once we calculate them from 2019, we don't have to calculate them again. So then we can just apply those percentages to our new sales number that we're using for this pro forma. Remember, the numbers that you see in your practice, they're going to be slightly different for each one of you, but this to give you a guide to how to do it. So you have 3 scenarios: pessimistic, most likely, and optimistic. You're going to do this 3 different times for that third problem. All right, so that wraps up our media lecture for week 3. Hopefully this gave you some insight into the chapter. If you have any questions, as always, please feel free to reach out. Thank you. Have a good day.